Dustin Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dustin Rider here. Welcome to my next review in the Power Rangers Team Up Rewind series. This is going to be the review for the Lightspeed Rescue Time Force Team Up Time for Lightspeed. And honestly, this one is a lot more mediocre than I remembered. Like, I never had it top tier on my list, but I always thought it was fine. But revisiting it, it was like only okay. And for whatever reason, whenever I revisit it, whether it's for a rewatch or just to go revisit team-ups, I always remembered it being 2 parts, but it's only a 1-parter. And it's really a paint-by-the-numbers crossover. So you have Vipra, everybody's favorite Lightspeed Rescue character of all time, resurrecting, and she's trying to steal this, like, fireball replica out of the museum, but she can't make it intangible enough. So she's got to team up with Rancic and help her rob the joint. Well, actually, I was going to say the Time Force Rangers show up, but first Eric actually shows up with the Silver Guardians, and he's like, guys, you can tell I'm the leader because I'm wearing this funny looking hat and everyone else's hats are normal. And then he gets blasted away. The Time Force Rangers show up just in time for everyone to leave. But then, you know, Vipra and Rancic start working together, and she's the only villain that's returning from this, and she's got these weird new, like, alien wrestling looking henchmen with her. And eventually Carter shows up and he's like, oh, I'm Carter Grayson, you're gonna need my help with all this because Vipra and demons and all that stuff. And then Rancic and them actually end up successfully robbing the joint, and they need to use, and they want to team up to take down the Power Rangers, you know, classic team-up goals. And then Carter's like, we gotta get help from everybody, and in one of the better scenes of the team-up, he kind of calls everybody and we get to see where all the Lightspeed Rescue Rangers are, which again is honestly probably one of my favorite scenes of the team-up just because I liked checking in with everyone. You have Dana being a doctor, you have Joel and Miss Fairweather about to go on their honeymoon, you have Kelsey still being Kelsey, and then you have Chad, who is in the movie Baywatch, Dwayne Johnson's there, but you get kind of a roll call of all of them, and you know that they're gonna show up. And the Rangers, the 2 Red Rangers eventually do get their hands on the little fireball thing, and just when Carter's about to destroy it, the weird ghouly thingies kidnap the other Time Force Rangers and it stops them. But of course, the Lightspeed Rangers show up just in time to help them. And they're like, you can't stop us, there's 10 of them, or oh no, there's 10 of them, or they just keep saying the number 10, and then they're like, no, 12 of us, because a little SUV pops up, and it's just Eric has Ryan with him for some reason. I don't know how they met or how he knew to do this. Kind of weird. And then you get the classic morphin roll call, and then you get the fights, the classic team-up fight where, you know, all the Rangers pair off by their color or 6 Ranger designation and they fight together. And, you know, it's a pretty decent fight scene. I liked it. There was one scene where Titanium and Quantum are fighting and they're both in the air, and Quantum's like doing this pose where he's like flying in the air. I'm like, dude, there's no way you're gonna land that. Like, he's like full on like this. I'm like, there's no way you're gonna land that. It's very impractical. But you get that classic fight, and then the one other cool aspect of this fight though is they all start using their various Battleizers, and I thought that was kind of cool because obviously the 2 Red Rangers have their Battleizers, but this was a series, or 2 series back to back, where more than one Ranger got a Battleizer. So you had the Mega Battles in Lightspeed, and then Eric had his. So I thought that was kind of cool that they thought about like, oh hey, like multiple Rangers have these Battleizers besides Red. Let's take advantage of that. So it was cool to see all of them used at once and fighting together. Although it's really hilarious because you have all the armors lined up and it's all epic. Everyone's really cumbersome and powerful, and they're over encumbered and they can't travel in Skyrim. And then they're like, let's fire at them, and it's like, pew! And then that was it. And it made for a really cool, like, final shot, and then, like, a team lineup with all the Rangers and the Battleizers. But it was so anticlimactic, like, all these huge armors, and then, like, a little pew, and then the explosions, like, phew. So that was pretty hilarious. And then the last scenes are pretty nice, where the Time Force Rangers bring the Lightspeed Rangers back to their base, and they make a joke about, like, I thought you were from the future, why are you in a clock tower? And then they give each other their jackets. The Time Force team gives the Time Force Rangers, or they give themselves their own jackets. No, the Time Force team gives the Lightspeed Rangers like the Time Force jumpsuits, and then the Lightspeed Rangers are like, we have something for you too. And then they give the Time Force Rangers their jackets, and then Princess Shayla shows up and asks for everyone's jackets. Kind of funny because the way it's played acting-wise, it does seem like they always meant to give them the jackets, but because they didn't have like secondary jackets ready and they gave them the jackets off their back, it seemed like oh, I didn't know they were going to be doing gifts. Guys, what do we do? Just, oh yeah, we have these for you, totally. It's like when Creed gave Jim that old sweater on Secret Santa. He was like, I think he just had this in his closet and then he forgot. Yep, that's exactly what happened. The Time Force team does the Lightspeed roll call, and it reminds me of when people ask those at conventions to do the morphing call at panels. To which I say, why? This wasn't really a bad team up. It was decently enjoyable. It just felt so paint by the numbers. Like, it's really funny going to this one coming off of Trakeena's Revenge, which is often very criticized because of a lot of reasons, as I mentioned in the video. But honestly, I enjoyed that one more. This one just felt like a checklist. It felt very rushed. Like, even though there's a couple other one-parters that are kind of rushed and streamlined, this one felt really fast and checkpointy. Like, it almost felt like a webisode or something. Like, yeah, past villain returns, they gotta do something, whatever, and then the other team members show up. Like, one thing that was nice that set it apart from something like this first part of the Space Galaxy one is I like that instead of just the other 4 Rangers showing up at the end, you get a little bit of a check-in with them. But it would have been nice to spend more time with them. Like, it did feel rushed in that aspect. And it was definitely weird the way Eric and Ryan just showed up because they needed to. It made me think this could have been a cool 2-parter, and you could have had Eric and Ryan on their own adventures. Like, maybe Eric was looking into this thing on his own, whatever was going on with the demons, and then he stumbled upon Ryan, and you have them working together, leading to them showing up at the end. It just seemed like, again, like a checklist of things, even though it did have really neat moments. Like I said, my top moments are seeing where all the Lightspeed Rangers ended up again. The end scene is really nice. I do kind of like that bit, and the whole exchanging of the jackets. And even though you had the anticlimactic laser blast, the cool fight scene with all the Battleizers was pretty neat. But this was just kind of a very basic by the numbers team up. I would only give it like a 6.5. And the fact that we only had like one of the secondary villains return too just made it feel like, but hey, I still thought it was better than the Dino team up. But that's about it for this one, guys. What do you think of Time for Lightspeed? Is it one of your favorites, least favorites? Does it sit somewhere in the middle? This one kind of unfortunately also is like the very anticlimactic one that comes right before 2 of the most famous team ups. So there's going to be 2 weeks of really cool reviews coming down the pipeline. So anyway, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.